The massive alien ship hung in the darkness of space like a floating mountain. Its surface gleamed with purple-tinted metal, stretching over 20 kilometers from bow to stern. High Commander Trell stood on the observation deck, his tall frame reflected in the transparent barrier that separated him from the vacuum of space. His 4 eyes narrowed as he watched the approaching human vessels. "These are their warships?" Trell asked, unable to hide the amusement in his voice. The other council members gathered behind him shared quiet laughs. The human fleet consisted of ships that seemed absurdly small to the alien delegation. The largest human vessel was barely a kilometer long, while the smallest appeared to be no bigger than transport shuttles. To the Galactic Council members, who measured military might in sheer size, the human fleet looked like toys. "Surely this must be some kind of joke," said Council Member Rax, his crystalline body shimmering with mirth. "Did they send their maintenance vessels instead of their actual military?" Admiral James Miller sat in his command chair aboard the Earth ship Thunder, listening to the alien transmission with growing frustration. The aliens hadn't bothered to encrypt their communications, clearly believing humans too primitive to intercept and translate their signals. They were wrong, of course, as they were wrong about many things. "Sir," Lieutenant Wilson reported from her station, "the alien flagship is scanning us. Their energy readings are incredible. Their main reactor could power all of Earth's cities for a year." Miller nodded, keeping his face neutral. "And our shields?" "Holding steady, sir. They haven't detected them yet." That was the advantage of human engineering. Where alien ships broadcast their power like blazing suns, human technology worked on principles of efficiency and containment. Their shields were invisible until struck, their weapons hidden beneath smooth hull plates, and their reactors ran cool and quiet. The comm system crackled. "Human vessels," High Commander Trell's voice boomed, translated by their AI systems. "The Galactic Council welcomes you to the greater community of spacefaring races. We are here to assess your civilization's readiness for full membership." Miller took a deep breath. "This is Admiral James Miller of the Earth Defense Fleet. We appreciate your welcome and look forward to peaceful dialogue." "Yes, yes," Trell responded, his tone dripping with condescension. "Though I must ask, are these truly your military vessels? We were led to believe humans had achieved some measure of technological advancement." Through the viewscreen, Miller watched as several more alien ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Each one dwarfed his entire fleet. The aliens were putting on a show of force, trying to intimidate Earth with their massive ships. "I assure you, High Commander, these are indeed our warships. Size isn't everything, as the saying goes." Laughter echoed through the transmission. "Oh, you primitive species are all the same. You don't understand. Size is power. Your entire fleet couldn't damage even one of our support vessels." Miller exchanged glances with his bridge crew. They all knew what their ships could really do. The new compact missile systems, the advanced shield technology, the revolutionary point defense grid, all carefully hidden from alien sensors. Humanity had learned long ago that appearing weak could be an advantage. "Perhaps," Miller replied diplomatically, "we could arrange a joint training exercise to demonstrate our capabilities." "A training exercise?" Trell scoffed. "With these tiny vessels? We would be afraid of accidentally crushing them with our maneuvering thrusters alone. No, no. We will proceed with our assessment as planned. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Miller's jaw tightened. "I'm afraid that won't be possible, High Commander. Our vessels are not equipped for your boarding parties, given the size difference." "Then you will dock with our ship," Trell commanded. "This is not a request. The Council must verify your species' level of development. We cannot have primitive races running around with faster-than-light technology. It's dangerous." As Miller listened to the alien's demanding tone, he thought about the classified reports sitting in his secure terminal. Intelligence had warned this might happen. The Galactic Council had a history of subjugating primitive races, stripping them of their independence in the name of guidance and protection. They thought humanity would be easy prey. They saw the small ships and assumed weakness. They never stopped to ask why a spacefaring race would build vessels so much smaller than the galactic standard. They would learn soon enough. "Very well, High Commander," Miller said, buying time. "We'll need 1 hour to prepare for docking procedures." As the transmission ended, Miller turned to his communications officer. "Send the coded message to Fleet Command. 2 words only. They're here." The greatest advantage in any conflict was being underestimated by your enemy, and humanity had just been severely underestimated. 6 months earlier, in the underground research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Emma Wright stared at the holographic display of Earth's newest warship design. The vessel looked tiny compared to the known alien ships shown as silhouettes beside it. That was exactly the point. "Run the simulation again," she told the computer, pushing her glasses back up her nose. The air hummed with energy as the AI compiled the data. The door slid open behind her, and General Mark Roberts walked in, his boots clicking against the metal floor. "Dr. Wright, I assume you've seen the latest intelligence reports." Emma nodded, her expression grim. "The intercepts from the Gamma sector. I have them right here." She gestured to another hologram, showing encrypted alien communications their quantum computers had finally cracked. The messages were clear. The Galactic Council viewed humanity as a potential threat, not because they feared human technology, but because humans were expanding too quickly. The Council couldn't understand how such a primitive species had achieved faster-than-light travel so soon after discovering spaceflight. "They think we stole the technology," Emma said, shaking her head. "They can't imagine we developed it ourselves. And that's our advantage," Roberts replied, watching the simulation play out. On the display, the tiny human ship darted between massive alien vessels, its advanced shields absorbing hits while its compact weapons found weak points in enemy armor. Emma pulled up another diagram. "The real breakthrough isn't just the miniaturization, it's the efficiency. Look at their ships. They're basically flying power plants, burning enough energy to run a small star. All that waste heat, all that excess power, makes them easy to detect," Roberts finished. "While our ships run cool and quiet," Emma said with pride. "They think bigger is better because that's all they've ever known. They never tried to make things smaller because they never had to. Their worlds have unlimited resources, unlimited space. But Earth taught us to be efficient," Roberts nodded, "to do more with less." The simulation ended, showing a successful combat run. Emma pulled up more data on her tablet. "The real question is whether they'll give us time to finish the fleet conversion. These intercepts suggest they're already mobilizing for what they call a containment action." Roberts frowned at the tactical display. "How many ships do we have ready with the new systems?" 32 combat-ready vessels, another 40 in final testing. The compact missile systems are performing beyond expectations, and the shield generators." She smiled. "Well, let's just say they're in for a surprise when they realize our tiny ships can take hits from their main guns." A red light flashed on the communication panel. Roberts stepped over and pressed his hand to the scanner. His face darkened as he read the message. "They're moving faster than we expected. A council assessment team just entered the outer colonies. They're heading for Earth." Emma's fingers flew over her controls, bringing up the production schedules. "We need more time. The automated factories are working at maximum capacity, but we're still at least 2 months from having a full fleet ready." "We'll have to work with what we have," Roberts said firmly. "The council's coming whether we're ready or not. And from these reports," he gestured to the intercepted communications, "they're not coming for peaceful first contact. They're coming to put us in our place." Emma looked at the hologram of the human warship design. It was beautiful in its simplicity, in its efficiency. No wasted space, no unnecessary systems, nothing added just for show. It represented everything humanity had learned from its long climb to the stars. That bigger wasn't always better, that efficiency trumped brute force, and that sometimes the best way to win was to let your enemy underestimate you. "Let them come," she said quietly. "Let them see our tiny ships. Let them laugh and mock our technology." She turned to the general with determination in her eyes. "And then let them learn why humans have survived everything Earth could throw at us." Roberts nodded grimly. "Send the order to all shipyards. Maximum production. Full secrecy protocols. And get me a secure line to Admiral Miller. He needs to know what's coming." The warning signs were clear. The storm was approaching. But humanity had something the Council didn't: the element of surprise. Captain Thomas Reed stood at the helm of the Wasp, his small ship hidden in the shadow of an asteroid. Through the view screen, he watched as another massive alien warship dropped out of faster-than-light travel, its hull gleaming in the distant starlight. It was the 12th such ship to arrive in the past hour. "Status of our stealth systems," he asked quietly, though he knew the aliens couldn't hear them. "Running silent, Captain," replied Lieutenant Adams from the engineering station. "Our heat signature is masked, and their scans are passing right through us." The Wasp was humanity's newest warship class, barely 300 meters long. To the gathering alien fleet, it would look like nothing more than a large rock if they spotted it at all. That was by design. "More ships incoming," reported the sensor officer. "These ones are different. Smaller than the others, but still 5 times our size. Different hull configuration." Reed leaned forward. "Those would be their scout ships." He checked the tactical display. "Send the data burst to command. They'll want to see this." The bridge crew worked in near silence, documenting everything about the alien fleet. They had been watching for 3 days as ships from various council races gathered just outside the human defense perimeter. The aliens thought this was their staging area, safely out of human detection range. They were wrong. A soft beep drew Reed's attention. "Sir," Adams said, "we're picking up scattered communications. They're not using standard encryption anymore. They're getting sloppy." "Play it through," Reed ordered. The alien voices filled the bridge, translated in real time by their AI. They were arguing about humanity's ships, about the embarrassingly small vessels their scouts had reported. Some wanted to attack immediately, to teach the primitives their place. Others urged caution, not because they feared human technology, but because they worried about damaging Earth's resources. "Sir," the sensor officer's voice cut through the chatter, "one of their scout ships is changing course. They're heading toward the asteroid field, toward us." Reed stayed calm. This was what the Wasp was built for: power status. All systems nominal. Shield generators ready but inactive. Weapons hot but powered down. "Hold position," Reed ordered. "Let's see how close they get." The alien scout ship grew larger on their screen. It was a sleek vessel with purple-tinted hull plates, its size making it a small ship by Council standards despite being much larger than the Wasp. It moved with casual confidence, its crew clearly not expecting any threats in this empty region of space. "They're scanning the asteroids," Adams reported. "Looking for valuable minerals, probably. Standard survey pattern." Reed watched as the alien ship drew closer. 5 kilometers away, 3 kilometers, 1 kilometer. "Sir," Adams's voice held a question. "Not yet," Reed said softly. "Let them get closer. Let them think they're alone out here." The alien ship was now less than half a kilometer away, close enough that they could see individual hull plates through the view screen. Its powerful sensors swept the asteroid field, passing over the Wasp again and again without detecting anything unusual. Then something changed. "Captain, they're powering up their weapons," the tactical officer reported. "They might have detected our mass reading." Reed smiled. Now, the Wasp's systems came to life. Shields snapped into place, startling the alien ship as their sensors suddenly detected an energy spike where none had been before. The human vessel's engines fired, pushing it out of the asteroid's shadow with precision that would have been impossible for a ship 10 times its size. The alien vessel tried to react, but it was too slow, too clumsy. Its weapons charged, but the Wasp was already moving, dancing through space with an agility that must have seemed impossible to the watching aliens. "Send the message," Reed ordered, word for word. The communication officer nodded, transmitting on all frequencies. "Council vessel, this is the Earth ship Wasp. You have entered restricted space. We suggest you retreat immediately, unless you'd like a demonstration of what our tiny ships can do." For a moment, there was silence. Then the alien ship's engines flared as it turned to flee. "Let them go," Reed ordered. "They'll tell the others what they saw." And then he looked at the tactical display, where hundreds of alien ships gathered in the distance. Then the real fun begins. The gathering storm was about to break, and humanity was ready. The space around Earth's outer defense perimeter erupted in light as hundreds of alien ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their massive forms blotted out the stars, capital ships stretching up to 25 kilometers in length, their hull plates gleaming with obvious power. "All ships, battle stations," Admiral Miller's voice carried across the human fleet's secure channels. "Remember your training. Remember what we are fighting for." The human fleet looked absurdly small in comparison. Just 78 ships spread out in a defensive formation. The largest was barely a kilometer long, while the smallest Wasp-class vessels were just specks against the backdrop of space. High Commander Trell's voice boomed across all frequencies. "Primitive humans, you have rejected our generous offer of guidance. You hide technology beyond your development level. Now you will learn the price of defiance." The alien fleet's weapons powered up, their energy readings going off the scale. The first volley of plasma fire erupted from their massive gun batteries, enough firepower to level a continent. "Hold position," Miller ordered calmly. "Shields up." Now, the seemingly empty space around the human ships suddenly sparkled with geometric patterns of pure energy. The alien weapons fire splashed against invisible barriers, dissipating harmlessly. There was a moment of stunned silence on all channels. "Impossible." Trell's voice cracked with disbelief. "Their shields. They couldn't have." "All ships," Miller commanded, "execute Battle Plan Delta. Show them what humanity's tiny fleet can do." The human ships burst into action. What had seemed like a simple defensive line transformed into a complex three-dimensional attack pattern. The smaller ships accelerated at speeds the aliens had thought impossible, their compact drive systems pushing them to maneuvers that would have torn apart larger vessels. "Group 1, target their lead ships," Miller ordered. "Group 2, slip through their lines. Group 3, protect Earth's orbit. Execute." The Wasp-class ships moved first, darting between the massive alien vessels like insects around trees. Their small size made them nearly impossible to hit, while their advanced targeting systems found weak points in the alien armor. "Sir," Lieutenant Wilson called out, "the alien ships, they're having trouble tracking us. Their weapons are designed for large targets. They can't adjust fast enough." Miller nodded. This was exactly what they had planned for. The alien weapons were powerful but slow, designed to battle ships of similar size. They couldn't track the nimble human vessels effectively. The first alien capital ship fell to concentrated fire from 3 human cruisers. Its massive shields had been calibrated to withstand hits from equally massive weapons, but the rapid-fire impacts from human energy weapons found gaps in their coverage. The giant ship's reactor went critical, forcing nearby alien vessels to scatter. "Their formation is breaking," Wilson reported. "They're trying to regroup, but our ships are inside their minimum effective range." The space around Earth had become a chaos of light and motion. Human ships weaved through the alien fleet like schools of fish around whales, their advanced shields flickering as they absorbed hits, while their weapons struck with surgical precision. An alien dreadnought tried to target the Thunder, Miller's flagship. Its main gun charged up, gathering enough energy to vaporize a small moon. But before it could fire, 5 Wasp-class ships struck it simultaneously from different angles, their compact weapons targeting power distribution nodes that Dr. Wright's team had identified as critical weaknesses. "Admiral," Wilson's voice was excited now. "Enemy ships are starting to retreat. Their defensive lines are collapsing." Miller watched as the tactical display showed alien vessels attempting to regroup. Their massive size had become a liability. They couldn't maneuver effectively in close combat, and they were starting to fire blindly, sometimes hitting their own ships in attempts to strike the elusive human vessels. "Send the message to all alien frequencies," Miller ordered. "Let them hear it in their own languages." The communication officer nodded, and Miller's voice echoed across space. "Attention Council forces. You came here expecting to find primitive ships. Instead, you found humanity. We will accept your surrender, or we can continue this demonstration of why size isn't everything." The battle wasn't over, but the tide had turned. Humanity's tiny fleet had proven that bigger didn't always mean better, and the galaxy would never be the same. Dr. Emma Wright stood in Earth's Strategic Command Center, watching the massive holographic display of the battle. Hundreds of red dots represented the alien fleet, while the smaller number of blue dots showed human ships. As she watched, another red dot flickered and vanished. "The WASP squadron is performing even better than our simulations predicted," she said to General Roberts, who stood beside her. "Their maneuverability in actual combat conditions is exceeding all expectations." "Look there," Roberts pointed to a cluster of alien ships. "They're still trying to form up in traditional battle lines. They haven't figured it out yet." On the main screen, the human ships executed what looked like a chaotic dance, but Emma knew better. Each movement was precisely calculated, taking advantage of the compact reaction drives that let them change direction almost instantly. The alien ships, massive and powerful as they were, simply couldn't keep up. "Enemy flagship is moving," an operator called out. "They're trying to coordinate a new attack pattern." High Commander Trell's voice boomed through the intercepted communications. "Focus all fire on their largest vessels. Ignore the small ones. They cannot possibly carry weapons strong enough to threaten us." Emma smiled. That was exactly the mistake they'd hoped the aliens would make. On the display, 3 human cruisers moved forward, drawing the attention of the alien fleet. Behind them, squadrons of WASP-class ships darted through the gaps in the alien formation. Their small size had another advantage. The debris from disabled alien ships provided perfect cover. "Look at their energy readings." Emma pointed to the data scrolling across a secondary screen. "Their main reactors are running hot. They're pumping too much power into their weapons, trying to overwhelm our shields, and burning through their fuel reserves in the process." Roberts nodded. "Just like you predicted." Another alien ship disappeared from the display as concentrated fire from 4 WASPs found a critical weakness. The human ships were targeting specific points that Emma's team had identified: power nodes, shield generators, and reactor containment systems. It wasn't about raw firepower, it was about precision. "Sir," a tactical officer called out, "the alien fleet is splitting into 3 groups. They're trying to surround our forces." Roberts watched calmly. "They still think in terms of traditional space combat. Big ships, big guns, overwhelming force." He keyed his comm. "Admiral Miller, they're taking the bait." "Understood." Miller's voice came back. "Beginning Phase 2. The human fleet suddenly scattered in what looked like a panicked retreat. The alien ships pressed forward, their massive forms surging through space like predators after prey. But they were falling right into the trap. "Activate the mines," Roberts ordered. Throughout the battlefield, hundreds of tiny devices that had looked like simple debris to alien sensors suddenly came to life. They were automated weapons platforms, each no bigger than a car, but packed with the same efficient technology as the human ships. The alien fleet found itself caught in a web of fire. Their ships were too big to dodge, too slow to escape. More red dots vanished from the tactical display. "Their defensive formation is collapsing," Emma observed. "They're starting to panic." The evidence was clear in the alien communications they were intercepting. Different ship commanders were shouting over each other, some demanding retreat, others calling for pushing forward. The coordinated alien fleet was dissolving into chaos. Message from the WASP, an operator announced. Captain Reed reports their reactor containment is at critical levels. They're burning too hot trying to hit our small ships. Emma rushed to a console, fingers flying over the controls. Their power systems weren't designed for this kind of sustained high-energy output. They're used to quick, overwhelming victories. This prolonged precision combat is pushing their systems beyond safe limits. On the main display, the battle had transformed. What had started as a seemingly one-sided confrontation between massive alien warships and tiny human vessels had become a masterclass in tactical superiority. The human ships moved like a coordinated swarm, striking weak points and vanishing before the aliens could effectively respond. "Send word to Admiral Miller," Roberts ordered. "Execute final phase. Let's end this." The turning point had arrived. Humanity's tiny fleet was about to deliver its final lesson about the true meaning of military power. Admiral Miller stood on the bridge of the Thunder, watching as Operation Hornet's Nest began. Around his ship, the remnants of the alien fleet struggled to maintain formation. Their massive vessels, once proud and imposing, now showed signs of battle damage. Shield generators flickered, hull plates bore scorch marks, and their movements had become sluggish. "All ships, execute final attack pattern," Miller ordered. "WASP Squadron, you have permission to engage at will." Captain Reed's voice came back crisp and clear. "Understood, Admiral." WASP Squadron moving to attack positions. The tactical display showed the human fleet's formation changing. What had appeared to be a scattered retreat transformed into something else entirely. The smaller ships formed into tight groups of 3, while the larger vessels moved to hold the aliens' attention. "Sir," Lieutenant Wilson reported, "enemy flagship is trying to coordinate their forces. They're attempting to create a defensive wall." Miller nodded. "Just as expected. They're bunching up their biggest ships, trying to overlap their shields." He keyed his comm. "Dr. Wright, are you seeing this?" "Confirmed." Emma's voice came from Earth Command. "Their power readings are off the charts. They're diverting everything to their forward shields." "Begin the attack run," Miller commanded. "Show them why that was a mistake." The WASP squadrons accelerated, their small size allowing them to reach speeds that would have torn larger ships apart. They moved in perfect coordination, years of training showing in every maneuver. High Commander Trell's voice boomed across all channels. "Stand fast. Let these primitive vessels break themselves against our shields. They cannot hope to penetrate our combined defense." The alien ships had formed a wall of metal and energy, their massive forms arranged in a classic defensive pattern. Against traditional opponents, it would have been impenetrable. But humanity didn't play by traditional rules. "Execute attack pattern Delta 7, Miller ordered. Target points marked and locked." The WASP squadrons split apart, each group of 3 ships targeting specific points in the alien formation. They didn't aim for the strongest parts of the shields, but rather the tiny gaps where the energy fields overlapped. "They're firing," Wilson called out. The alien wall erupted in weapon fire, massive energy beams, and plasma bolts filling space. But the human ships were too small, too fast, too agile. They slipped through gaps in the fire that larger ships could never have exploited. First wave, impact in 3, 2, 1. The WASPs fired their weapons in perfect synchronization. Their energy beams, precisely calibrated by Dr. Wright's team, struck the shield overlap points. For a fraction of a second, nothing seemed to happen. Then the alien shields began to collapse. "Direct hits," Wilson reported excitedly. "Their shield matrix is destabilizing. The overlapping fields are causing cascade failures." The alien wall of ships began to break apart as their carefully arranged shield network turned against them. The very power they had diverted to strengthen their defenses now fed back through their systems, overloading circuits and burning out generators. Second wave, begin your attack run, Miller commanded. Target their exposed power cores. More Wasp squadrons dove into the chaos, their weapons striking with surgical precision at the now vulnerable alien vessels. Ships that could have housed entire cities began to go dark, their mighty engines shutting down as emergency systems engage. "Admiral," Wilson called out, "enemy flagship is powering up its faster-than-light drive. They're trying to retreat." Miller watched as High Commander Trell's massive vessel attempted to disengage. But the human ships had been waiting for this too. A squadron of Wasps appeared from behind a field of debris, their weapons targeting the flagship's drive systems. "Broadcast on all frequencies," Miller ordered. Message reads, "High Commander, you came here expecting to find primitive vessels. Instead, you found humanity. Your ships are disabled. Your fleet is in ruins. Do you wish to continue this demonstration, or are you ready to talk?" The response came quickly. On the main screen, the alien flagship's weapons powered down. Emergency beacons began broadcasting from their vessels. Operation Hornet's Nest had worked perfectly. Humanity's tiny fleet had brought the mighty Galactic Council Armada to its knees, not through brute force, but through superior tactics, technology, and the willingness to think differently. The counter-strike was complete. Now came the hard part, teaching the galaxy a new way of thinking about power. 1 month after the battle, High Commander Trell stood in the observation room of Earth's new Joint Space Station. Through the window, he watched as human and alien ships moved together in a carefully choreographed dance of construction and cooperation. The massive council vessels now worked alongside the smaller human ships, each playing to their strengths. "It's quite a view, isn't it?" Admiral Miller asked, stepping into the room. "Amazing what we can achieve when we work together instead of fighting." Trell turned, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. A gesture Miller had learned meant deep thought among his species. "I must admit, Admiral, I never imagined I would be standing here like this. We were so certain of our superiority." "That was your weakness," Miller said, but without mockery. "You measured everything by size alone. Bigger ships, bigger weapons, bigger power readings, while you took a different path entirely." Trell moved closer to the window, watching as a Wasp-class ship deftly maneuvered between 2 larger alien vessels, helping guide a construction beam into place. "You learned to do more with less." The door opened again, and Dr. Emma Wright entered, carrying a tablet filled with technical data. "The integration of our technologies is proceeding better than expected," she reported. "The Council engineers are particularly interested in our miniaturization techniques. And we are fascinated by your power generation systems," Trell admitted. "Perhaps there is truth in the old saying about necessity being the mother of invention. Your planet's limited resources forced you to think differently." Through the window, they could see the results of their new cooperation. The station they stood in was a hybrid of human and alien technology. Council-scale power systems modified with human efficiency improvements, massive alien construction techniques, enhanced by human precision engineering. "The Council has formally withdrawn all accusations of technological theft," Trell announced, "and we are recommending immediate recognition of Earth as a full member of the galactic community." Miller smiled. "No more talk of primitive species, then. That term has been officially struck from Council diplomatic language," Trell said, managing what passed for a smile among his kind, along with several other unfortunate phrases we used to use. Emma pulled up a new set of designs on her tablet. "We're already seeing amazing results from our collaboration. The new joint fleet will combine the best of both approaches: Council ships with human efficiency improvements, human vessels with enhanced power systems. And most importantly," Miller added, "a shared understanding that different isn't wrong, small isn't weak, new isn't primitive." Trell made a gesture of formal agreement. "The Council has existed for 10,000 years, Admiral. In all that time, we never questioned our basic assumptions about military power. We never imagined that a species might take a completely different path to the stars. That's the funny thing about assumptions. Emma said, looking up from her work. They can blind you to new possibilities, make you underestimate those who think differently. Outside, a new ship moved into view. It was clearly of alien design in its basic shape, but smaller, more streamlined. Human technology had been incorporated seamlessly into its structure, creating something entirely new. The first of the hybrid vessels, Trell explained, built by Council shipyards using human design principles, a symbol of our new partnership. And a reminder, Miller added, that sometimes the best way forward is to combine different approaches rather than assuming one must be superior. Emma's tablet beeped with new data. The preliminary tests are even better than we hoped. The hybrid ships are showing efficiency ratings that neither of our species achieved alone. Trell turned all four eyes to the human vessel visible through the window. When I first saw your tiny fleet, I thought we were dealing with children playing at war. Instead, we found teachers who showed us a whole new way of thinking. That's humanity for you, Miller said quietly. We may be smaller, younger, and less resource-rich than the Council races, but we've learned to adapt, to innovate, to find new solutions to old problems. And now, Trell concluded, watching the ships work together in the darkness of space, the galaxy will never be the same. Perhaps that is exactly what we needed. The stars shone steadily beyond the window, watching as two civilizations that had nearly destroyed each other instead found a way to build something new together. Humanity's tiny fleet had changed the course of galactic history not through conquest, but by forcing others to question their assumptions and see the value in thinking differently. It was, everyone agreed, a much better ending than anyone had expected.